Tim Haviland moved to the Twin Cities after graduating Ames High School. It wasn't until after attending McAllister in St. Paul that he rekindled a friendship with Rudy Rudibinger, a boyhood from Ames.
He was a kind, generous, honest, most, humble person I'd ever known. Very soft spoken, just the sweetest, kindest man you'd almost ever meet. I mean, I think, and a lot of that I think is from his family. I mean, his father being a minister.
The Ames Historical Museum keeps pictures of Tim and other items related to 9/11 in their collection. One item being a certificate for a flag flown over an Afghan airbase in 2003. Sharon Worth is a board member of the museum, but during 9/11 was an Ames City Council member and had just started her new job at Iowa State University. She remembers the collective feeling in the Ames community days after the attacks.
Certainly remember all of the shock, feeling of fear, what's going to happen next, just a lot of emotion. And certainly at Iowa State, we're an international community, so as word got out and people began to hear what had happened and by whom, there was that concern then about the Islamic community that we have here in Ames and how would they be treated.
Sharon says Tim Haviland's parents were well known and well liked in the community. They had an outpouring of support during those moments when there were no answers.
Well, I think the real difficult thing was just the not knowing, as they waited to find out, is he going to call in next week or tomorrow or whatever, those kinds of things that everybody was wondering if they knew somebody who was in the vicinity of the Twin Towers at the time.
Tim was one of 2,977 Americans killed in the attacks nearly 20 years ago. Local 5's Lakin McGee breaks down minute by minute of what happened that day.
At 8:46 a.m., American Airlines Flight 11 hits the North Tower. Moments after the attack, fire and smoke filled the air. The hole shows the impact from the jet. Minutes later at 9:03, United Airlines Flight 175 hits the South Tower. At 9:05, the White House Chief of Staff informed then-President George W. Bush, saying America is under attack. The president was visiting with students at an elementary school in Florida. Less than an hour from the first attack, another plane, American Flight 77, hits the Pentagon at 9:37. The Federal Aviation Agency at 9:42 grounds all flights. Then, the Twin Towers begin to collapse. First, with the South Tower. At 10:03, United Airlines Flight 93 crashes into a field near Shanksville, Pennsylvania, missing its target of the nation's capital. At 10:28, the North Tower collapses to the streets of New York. Nearly 2.5 hours after the first attack, then Mayor Rudy Giuliani orders an evacuation of Lower Manhattan. And at 12:16, the United States airspace closed, leaving many Americans in the dark, some stranded at airports, while we grieved as a nation.
For many, the attacks were a turning point, changing how they felt within their own country.
That moment it kind of changed all of us. Because before that, I don't think we had too much fear that we would, that we felt safe before that. It was like the line of demarcation. It was before and after 9/11.
Ed grew up in Ames. He didn't know Tim Haviland, but did know his brother Andy. Ed says he went to the 9/11 memorials in New York City to find closure.
I was going to spend like an hour looking for Tim's name, and I told my rest of my group to go on ahead. And then I walked right over to there's two big memorials there, and I walked over. I didn't know which one he was in, and I walked right over to the one and saw his name within 20 seconds probably, so it was kind of surreal.
Ed says seeing Tim's name on the memorial didn't help with the sadness, but he is glad he went. We'll have more on 9/11, including stories from inside a classroom in just a few minutes.